Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast.
Everybody, welcome on in to a Monday night show. Once again, happy Memorial Day to everybody. Hope your weekend was great. Thanks to all that served and have served. So we appreciate that being the ability to be able to do this. So thank you. Tonight, guys, we're a little late. Yes, it's fine. Guess what? There's still great topics to talk about. There's plenty of night left. So I got JG with me. My name's Tanner. We were with the Sports Buffoons, and then Nick Bodkins with the Bodkins Show. Recently just did his first live show last night. Go check it out. They talked Nets, Lakers, a little bit of Steph. I mean, a little bit of everything, really. It was fabulous. A couple of guests there. It went really well, I thought. So make sure you guys go check it out. And then you're still doing your weekly recap, right, tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow the weekly recap will come out, and then Sunday is ever going to be the live show with a guest. Actually, we're going to have my man Tanner here come on next Sunday. Yep. So join us next Sunday. We'll be having different guests every Sunday, same guests that we had last night. But, yeah, last night was our first live show, so please check it out, subscribe. I appreciate everybody who has, and Tanner and you guys over here at Sports Buffoons for putting us over, bringing me on and everything else. So super appreciative. We're still kicking tires and moving in the right direction.
Hey, don't worry. And I know the beginning there, guess what? I've had that many times with the mic issues. So I know all about it. Don't you worry. It's going to happen many more times. You just got to roll with it and try to get it figured out live. So it's just what it is. So don't worry about that. So, all right, guys, today we got a couple topics here where, of course, we talk about the NBA Finals, kind of a preview. Not that it is set. It is ready to go come Thursday. I believe it's the first game of that. And then we're going to talk a little Steph Curry and what kind of legacy is going to be going on if he loses or if he wins. So keep an eye out for that. So without further ado, guys, JG, you want to kick us off here? What's our preview? What's our matchup here? The Boston Celtics, the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors here again in the finals, same core. It's awesome to see because you don't see that very often in any sport, really. So what are we looking here? What kind of matchup are we looking at?
Well, you got a group of all-timers here going up against a team that doesn't have really any NBA Finals experience. And so I think for me, like that's going to be the difference in the series. I think you look at guys like Clay and Steph and Draymond, Kevon Looney, and guys like that with championship pedigree. I think this is a situation where they have a clear advantage. They also have the home court advantage going for them. So it's kind of two things going up against Boston. I think Boston is a team that can obviously make it competitive. But for me, like, I don't think this thing is going to go 7 games. I think possibly Golden State would close it out in 6. And, I think a lot of people are jumping on Boston's bandwagon, and rightly so. I mean, they've been very, very impressive all along the way here, but I have a big problem with the fact that Jaylen Brown at times can tend to turn into a turnover machine.
Many of those guys do.
I have an issue with the fact that Marcus Smart being their third big scorer, you can only depend on him maybe like every third game or every fourth game. Al Horford, another guy that can score. He can score big, but it doesn't happen more than once every 3 or 4 games. That's going to have to be something that you're going to have to see every single game. Like those two guys are going to have to show up, and I don't have confidence that that's going to happen. On as far in terms of Golden State defensively, I've been listening all year long and all playoff season long about how intense that Boston Celtics defense is, and I'm not doubting that. They have an elite defense, but if you go through the defensive rankings, Golden State's like number 2 in the NBA. And, I think they both gave up like 106 points per game in the regular season. So defensively, I mean, they're pretty much even. Yeah, I guess you could pick on Steph, if you want to try to pick on him if you're the Celtics, and maybe to a lesser extent, you could pick on Jordan Poole. But, all Golden State really has to do is figure out a way to slow down Jason Tatum. And guess what? They have 3 answers for that guy. They can throw Draymond on him. They can throw Clay on him for a little bit of time, and they can throw Andrew Wiggins on him. And so, it's not that big of a deal to me, being the Warriors fan that I am. I'm not really. I have no worries about this series. Boston, yeah, sure, they'll make it competitive, but Golden State is elite defensively and offensively, whereas the Celtics are only elite on one side of the ball. They're not necessarily an elite offensive team. Golden State, we talked about it before, just way too many weapons. You're not going to be able to stop all of them. Whereas on the Golden State's side defensively, yeah, you're going to be able to stop a lot of those guys on the Boston side, because Boston's not going to show up, as far as all of the players. Tatum's the only guy. He's probably going to show up every game, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Nick?
So, I got a couple things. I think you're right. Golden State, everybody, when you think Golden State, you think their offense, right? But everybody doesn't recognize how good their defense is. Andrew Wiggins has turned himself into a really good defensive specialist, and you can throw Tatum to him. Klay Thompson's always been a real solid defensive player. Draymond Green's a former defensive player of the year. They have good defense. Well, you just forget because they're so well-rounded offensively and so good offensively. You don't recognize, hey, man, they can play defense too. I think it's this series is almost like I don't want to say changing of the guards, because that means Boston's going to win, and I don't think that's what's going to happen. But it's you have the old 3, right? Like Draymond, Klay, and Steph, the 3 Hall of Famers. And then you have these 3 young Boston guys who've been knocking at the door, and now finally got there in, Marcus Smart, Tatum, and Brown. The problem is there's just mental lapses with Boston all the time. It's you go in the fourth quarter and Tatum and Brown's not cooking. It's they don't command the ball. That won't happen with the Warriors. Now, the Warriors will give you one. They've had games where they just don't show up and just wait till the next game to close out. We saw it against Memphis. We saw it against, the Mavericks, where they should have closed those games out, and they went to the next game. It's they just want to do it at home. We'll just wait and, close them out the next game. We'll give, ratings to ESPN. They need it, something to do on the next game. I think it's Warriors in 6. Boston they just have too many mental lapses. You look at even last night, they were up 17 in that game. That's a game that you probably shouldn't it shouldn't have ever been close. They let Miami get back in that game. Jimmy Butler is a 3-pointer away and maybe even a decision away of taking it to the basket and getting the foul there and winning that game possibly. I just felt like he didn't come out that game, was so exhausted. It was I got to shoot this 3 because I don't have nothing left for overtime if we do go into overtime. And he was did Boston won the game, but it should have never been that close. They've had mental lapses. And we saw it in game 6. We saw it in another game where Tatum was just nowhere to game 3, I think it was, where he was nowhere to be found. They just have so many times where you look at it and you're like, where are their guys? And Golden State doesn't have that. Steph Curry's going to show up. He's going to give you 20. Klay Thompson's going to give you 20. And that doesn't include, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and everybody else pumping their 20 in. I like Golden State in this series.
I'm glad you brought up my boy. I call him the pool party, Jordan Poole. He's my newest favorite player in the NBA, and it reminds me of a point that you've got 4 guys on the Warriors that can get you 30 at any given moment. I'm not sure that you really have that on Boston. Yeah, I know Al Horford had a 30 burger the other day, but that was kind of a one-offer.
Same with White. I think he had a 20 or 30 point one-offer too, like that.
But I think Jordan Poole's a guy, he can get you 30 more consistently if that's what they need from him. And honestly, Andrew Wiggins can get you a 30 burger. So it's all these guys that on Boston that'll get you 30 every once in a while. Golden State, it just seems like they do that on the regular. If one guy's not giving you 30, then another guy will give it to you.
Yeah, and I think their issue, if you look between the two teams here, there's not really anybody solidly down low for the Celtics. I mean, Williams the third played 15 minutes. Horford, old man Horford, out there playing 44 minutes this last game, and the only bench players really coming out here is Grant Williams and Derek White. And granted, those guys can show up at times, but they're not going to go against the roster of the Warriors very well if they can't get their guys fresh. If Tatum can't come out, or Brown can't come out, or Horford can't come out, and you guys still be effective, it's gonna hurt these guys. On top of all the turnovers that they like to accustomed to for the Celtics too. So that's kind of what I look at. Is from a bench perspective. Like, sure, yeah, you're gonna have your guys probably out there for majority of the game, but you got to give them a little slack, a little rest here. And if you can't do that without being, still putting up board or points, well, you're just going to fall behind very quickly in the NBA. So
I also just question, how much does Boston have left in the tank? I know they're young, but I mean, they've gone through the gauntlet, right? Like, I mean, they beat the Nets in four. It was a sweep, but every game of that series was close, and it could have went the other way. I mean, 7 with the Bucks and 7 with the Heat. I mean, how much you're talking about they beat the two best basketball players and then the number 1 seed in the East. And how much do they have left? Where I feel like the Warriors have kind of had almost a little easier route. I mean, the Grizzlies were banged up a little bit. They beat them. The Mavs probably shouldn't have. We've said this before. Shouldn't have been there. That should have been the Suns. But they, you can't fault the Warriors and who they're playing. But I mean, they had a little easier path. And the Warriors just play. You watch them, they play the best brand of basketball, just selflessness basketball. They move the ball. The way the game is, it's pure. Like, they just out there enjoying each other, just passing it, find the wide open guy, knock down 3. Oh, he missed it, back tip. Here's another guy, just steps right into another 3. The next thing you know, you're down 15.
Yeah, because you don't know which player of the Warriors is going to blow up that night. It could be Wiggins. It could be the pool party. It could be Thompson, Curry. Hell, even Draymond can get in there. And a guy that I think that is kind of undervalued for the Warriors too, that could have maybe a solid series, is Looney. Looney down low. He's been solid for them filling in, and he's been doing a great job getting the boards. I think he had 18 last game versus the Mavericks. So, he had 18. I'm sorry. I read it right. 18. So, like, the guy's down there. And if you have Williams going in and out, White's not going to do nothing. Grant's not going to do nothing. Al Horford's your only competition. I think Looney's going to have a heyday down there. And if he's they're getting second chance points for the Warriors, that's just all day for him. All day. And they're going to just shoot 3. So, that's
right. And
they get the ball back. It's gone. It's gone.
Right. And speaking of undervalued, a guy that nobody's even talking about right now because he's not a big scorer, they are saying that Gary Payton II is probably going to play in this series. And if that happens, dude, if he's like 100%, that's just another elite defender that you can slap on Jaylen Brown or Tatum or whoever. Total lockdown defender. I mean, that's a wrap, guys. If Gary Payton comes back, even at 90%, just as another lockdown defender, I mean, dude, this thing could be over in 5 games. Although we all know, like, the NBA, they love long 7-game series and 6-game series, so they can program those referees that they got working for them to kind of do whatever they want. But from a talent perspective and from a basketball perspective, I mean, This could be a 5-game series. It could be a 6-game series, but yeah, total underrated defensively. And I think Gary Payton II, he just had like a minor fracture in his elbow, but my gosh, dude, even if he comes back in game 3 or game 4, come on.
It'd be tough.
Him coming back, does that not tell us how long the playoffs are, though? Like, I mean, the guy's elbow breaks and you're like, right. You know what? He'll be back next round.
Next month he'll be fine.
How long the playoffs are. Like, they were talking Nets and Bucks when the Nets Boston the other day, and they're like, "No, they beat Brooklyn a month ago." I'm like, man, the playoffs started over a month ago. Like, you just forget. Like, it's a marathon. Like, that a guy can break his elbow and be like, he's ready for game 1.
He's ready to go. No problem. We're good.
Sign him up.
That blows my mind.
To coming back. I mean, he's kind of a young up and coming dog. I mean, he was raised like his daddy. I mean, his probably a little less talent offensively, but that defensive minded kid that's just going to grind out and he's going to make you work for it.
Yeah, and I thought I saw somebody had a deal up on one of the shows. I don't remember where I saw it, but I thought I saw Gary Payton out like 9 games still on that. And that could just be maybe based off last series or 9. I don't know what it is. So I just thought that was kind of far-fetched on that. But if he returns, even if he returns game 3, game 4, that's still effective enough for the Warriors. So let's do it. Prediction time. I want your guys' prediction and the NBA MVP. The finals MVP. Prediction, finals MVP as well. Nick, we'll start with you.
I got the Warriors. I mean, we've been saying it. I'm going to say Warriors in 6. I think Boston earns 1 win. Like they're going to take a game. They're going to win a game. And Golden State's going to give them a game, which means like Golden State just doesn't show up. We've seen that happen. So I'm going to say Golden State in 6. And just for all the haters out there, I think Steph Curry's got to have an MVP. So, like, that's the narrative, right? Steph Curry's never been an NBA Finals MVP. That's the narrative. So that changes. They're going to give it to him. Like, he doesn't even have to have a great series. If it's Boston, they're going to be like, Curry, you haven't had this trophy. We're going to put this to your mantle. So I'm going to say Warriors in 6, Steph Curry MVP.
All right. JG.
Yeah, I'm going to have to copy that. I mean, Steph has never had one, so I think this is the year you pretty much have to give it to him. So I will go with Steph as finals MVP and the Warriors in 6 as well.
All right. So Boston just got done playing 2 7-game series versus 2 very, very physical teams. If they're going to win this thing, they need to get up big 3-0 early on in the series to even have a chance, but they're not going to do it. So I'm going Warriors in 4 and Klay Thompson MVP.
Wow.
Old Klay shows back up. He was hot at the Mavericks towards the end of the Mavs series. So old Klay, if he's still hot, he's still smoking. You never know what could show up for him. So that's my prediction. I just think Boston's too they've gone through too many physical series to be able to match the Golden State. That's all it is. So cool. Well, let's transition, guys. So Steph Curry is in the finals once again. Still no MVP, obviously. So maybe he gets it this time. But what does this do for his legacy? What happens to his legacy if he wins? What happens to his legacy if he loses, or does it change? JG, I'll let you kick it off.
I would say if he loses, which as we've just alluded to, it's not very likely. If he were to lose, I mean, first of all, his career is not over. He's probably in the next couple of years going to come back and get that 4th title if he doesn't get it this year. So if he loses, honestly, it's probably not going to do too much to his legacy. I've always had him as a top 10 player, at least since he won his last championship. I had him in the top 10 since then. So with a loss, that doesn't really change a whole lot for me. If he wins, there's a lot of talk about, well, does he pass Kevin Durant? And I'm not ever sure that he was ever behind Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant's not even on his level.
It's like the last time I checked, he got his first ring before KD got his first ring. So,
and then he got it without
Steph. So, as far as passing KD, he's always been ahead of KD in my mind. So, top 10, yeah, like I said, that's a given if he wins. He's always been in my top 10 since he got his last championship. You guys know, if any of you that watch this show, when we ever bring up the LeBron versus Jordan debate, I always say, before you can call LeBron the GOAT, at some point he's got to at least be the best player out of the city of Akron. And I never thought that was the case. So Steph Curry is the best player in the city of Akron in the history of Akron. So yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw that bit by Kendrick Perkins of ESPN, but he said he's going to throw Magic Johnson off of the Mount Rushmore, and he's got Steph on the Mount Rushmore, I'm totally fine with that because and you wouldn't have to throw off Magic Johnson because LeBron was never on the Mount Rushmore to begin with. So, yeah, put Steph on the Mount Rushmore, and what is that? What's that going to make his finals record? Like, you guys will have to help me out. Will he be 4-1? How many times has he lost at the finals? Just
Twice.
So 4-2. The last time I checked is a winning record in the finals. Kind of like guys like Kobe Bryant. We all like guys that have winning records in the finals, not guys that lose. Like LeBron James is like 4-6. So,
Yeah, but you got to get there. You got to get there.
I'll take a little a hint from one of Michael Jordan's interviews. The last time I checked, 4-2 is better than 4-6. So yeah, I'll throw Steph on the Mount Rushmore and see what happens next year.
Hey, we need a minute to let that simmer, JG.
Oh my Lord!
You let that. Hey, you let that simmer. Hey, woo! Hey, what'd you have to eat today, boy? Too much hot barbecue coming with that hot takes.
I just tweeted that out the other day, so I'm sure somebody saw it. I was like, hey man, we got to give props to the best player from Akron.
Man, so I don't even know where to start. I might be speechless for the first time in my life.
Welcome to the Sports Buffoons.
Man. Oh man. I'm like literally
No shot, dude. I got it. Hey, that's what we do. That's why we're the buffoons, right? We say whatever the hell we want.
Hey, I get it. Oh man. So I don't even know where to start. Do I start at the LeBron James or I start at the Steph?
No. Let's take it to Steph Curry. We'll have a LeBron James conversation someday.
Yeah,
let's cool it down just a little bit here.
What's Steph Curry to you? If he wins, lose, or what happens with Steph Curry's legacy during this finals?
Loses, it depends how they lose, right? To me, so I already kind of give him slides the first two losses. He lost in 2016. Draymond missed game 6 because he got kicked out, and that was like the back to 3-1 when LeBron led the comeback in 3-1. And then he lost to Kawhi and the Raptors, and you forget that that's a series that I think game 6 or 7, Durant got hurt, tore his ACL. That's when Klay Thompson tore his ACL. Like all in that same series. So like his two best players were out. So he kind of gets a little bit of a pass on those series, right? Like, I mean, your best players got hurt. The 3-1, Draymond, they probably win that series if Draymond doesn't get kicked out in game 6 way back in 2016.
Yep.
And that was a bad call. He's got 2 MVPs. He's the greatest shooter of all time. I think anybody could ever tell you that. He's the greatest shooter of all time. I mean, the guy can put it anywhere, anytime, anywhere he wants. Now, I know last night on my show we had kind of similar questions. Is he top 10? And I said he is top 10, but then I got to thinking, is he top 10? Who do you take off? So, I mean, you go down the list. I mean, do you take off maybe Shaq in the top 10? He's probably better than Shaq. Shaq lost some finals, always had a good point guard, to lead the way. I don't believe he's better than Kobe. I'm not nowhere near better than Jordan. Is he better than Magic? I don't really know. They both transcended the game, and that's what you have to look at, right? The game has changed due to Steph Curry and the way he shoots. Like, kids are now out there, they're not trying to be LeBron James. You look at, my son is 12 years old, and I go to all these pickup games, and I go to his games. Kids aren't out there trying to be LeBron James. They're trying to be Steph Curry. They're trying to shoot as many threes and, as possible from as far out as possible. That's transcendent. Magic did the same thing, right? Before the Showtime, the Lakers came around. The game was slow. It was boring. And then here comes this guy, this 6'9", not supposed to be point guard, and then he transcends the game. So do you take him off? I don't think you can take Magic off. I mean, when you're top 10 Rushmore, you transcend the game. I don't know if Curry's top in the taken off Mount Rushmore. I think LeBron deserves to be in the Mount Rushmore just because everything, all stats compiled, finals compiled, and everything else. Now, I know he's done some shady things. He's made his way or not, but I like Curry as the top 10. If he wins, I don't really how much does it improve his legacy? I mean, it's another ship. If he gets the MVP, he gets the MVP like we talked about. maybe then he for sure passes Shaq, and he's definitely in the top 10. I think right now he's at that 9, 10, 11, like any which way you want. You're really splitting hairs when you're getting to
we're
it.
seeing there.
Yes, yeah, like you're really splitting hairs, and it's kind of personal opinion at that point, whether you like the big man or you like the guard. But I think, to me, the more I think about it, I still think he's top 10. He's just going to move up maybe even to 9 or 8 or 9, but he's in that 9, 10, 11 right now. I don't think he's in the Mount Rushmore. I do think LeBron's in the Mount Rushmore. I do think Magic's in the Mount Rushmore, but I'm not sure. Now, if you want to talk like modern day, like let's say post-Jordan era, he's 100%.
Oh, yeah, top 5.
Like if you break it down that way, right? Like you got the 80s, you had like before the 80s, before Showtime and Bird and Magic had those guys like Wilt and them, and you break it down, all the way to more modern day, like Steph Curry's easily there. But that's where I'm at. I got him in the 9, 10 top, range. He wins. He's probably 8, 9, somewhere. But if you want to tell me he's not top 10 and you like this person better, I mean, we're really splitting hairs here. So I'm going to say he's top 10 still. And if he wins, it's just going to make him go up. If he loses, I don't think it changes a thing.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. And, I spewed out a bunch of interesting things a while ago. But I do want to say realistically, there's something to be said about being a superstar in any era and having 5 championships. And that's something that you can say about guys like Tim Duncan and obviously Kobe Bryant and Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic. Those guys all have 5 or more championships. So I think for Steph Curry, realistically, to make that next step, he's got to get to 5 because it's an important number. Obviously LeBron's not there yet either, but once you get to 5, then you're kind of in a different club.
Shaq had 5 or 4 or 5.
Shaq had 4. So Shaq is kind of in the same group with LeBron, and he'll be in the same group with Steph if Steph gets his 4th. So
probably Duncan's right behind there, right? Like that's kind of right there. And I'll never take Tim Duncan off the top 10 list. Like as a kid, like when I was in high school, that's who I wanted. Like that was the position I played, power forward. Like that's who I wanted to be, was this big fundamental guy. So as much as like I'm a Jordan, and then like Tim Duncan, I know he's not the second best player of all time, but he's my second favorite player of all time. So I'll never take him off my top 10. But I'll take Shaq off or somebody like that, and then put Steph Curry, especially if he wins, gets that 5th. You're exactly right, JG, on the 5 championships. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, I agree there. I just kind of have Steph like you right now, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, sitting there. I think he's top 10 worthy, whether win or lose here. He's just done so much for the game. Hell, NBA 2K had to find out their own way of making sure you can actually be a Steph Curry in that. So, like, they had to redo the code or something like that. So, like, when you're affecting video games, then yeah, you're doing something right for the game. So,
yeah. Like I said, he transcended the game of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we're all, when we were growing up, everybody wanted to be Jordan. After that, it was a little bit of Kobe and maybe even Allen Iverson at one point or another. But nowadays, kids want to be Steph Curry. They want to be lighting up threes all the way back from 3 feet off the 3-point line, even though their little bodies can't push the ball past the free throw. But that's just
right.
That's what they see. That's who they want to be.
Yeah, and as my brother would say, 3 points is more than 2 points. So put her up. That's what he goes by. He always goes by the most points. So yeah, I got a quick question for you guys before we end it here. Just because I'm thinking here, Jason Tatum, such a young guy, 24 years old, he's got to his first finals here. Is there a ton of pressure for him to establish his name in the league officially, like become that next superstar, what do you want to call him, for a victory here? Or is it going to be okay as long as he puts up points and puts up numbers? It'll be okay if Boston loses.
Nah, there's no pressure on him whatsoever. I mean, when you play in that city, you play for the Boston Celtics, you're coming out, you're leaving everything on the floor every single time, particularly in the playoffs. And I fully believe in him to put up stats in this NBA Finals. And, to me, he doesn't have any more pressure than what he's going to put on himself, which is obviously going to be a lot. But as far as outside pressure, no, he at that age, he doesn't have any pressure whatsoever. I think he should just come out and play free. Just be a leader for his team because that's what they need him to do.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the agreement there. Like 10 years from now, and we're still talking about how he hasn't won a ship, all the pressure in the world. But such a young age, they've been knocking there. They're playing with house money. I mean, I think everybody in Boston's like, man, we went through it. Like we beat every big team in the East that you could ask us to beat,
right.
And he led the way. He's their leader. I think he's their cornerstone for the next, hopefully 10 years. They finally got here. He's going to get the experience. And look who they're playing. I haven't heard anybody say that they think Boston's really going to win this series a whole lot. Everybody I've talked to or heard has got Golden State. I think if they were the favorites and they fall off, that's different, But they're the underdogs. They steal 2 games and he leads the way. You just shake your head and be like, hey, yeah, this is what he's supposed to be doing. He's still the rising, ascending star like we all thought think he is.
Yeah, there's a lot of young talent.
Like you said, if we're having this conversation 10 years from now, then he's basically Chris Paul at that point.
Dang!
Hey, he got to the ship way before he was 35, though. He got to the ship before he was 35.
Yeah, sure. He didn't win nothing, though.
He's not blowing 3-2 leads. Not blowing 3-2 leads either. So.
I know a guy that's on the show sometimes. He used to be a CP3 fan, but now he thinks he's a bum. So that's what. Hey, when you don't win a title, man, people think of you differently.
Yeah, especially when you have the history. When you have that history of losing the playoffs like he does, it's not good. It's not good. Well, awesome, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody here. Just involving the conversation here. It's always a fun time. You can catch Nick on Bodkins, the Bodkins Show on YouTube, guys. Go check it out every Sunday night, closer to 8-9 p.m. area. He'll be hopping on there, and then it has Tuesday weekly recap, kind of just a big summarization of the week. So make sure you go check that out as well. I'll also be on next Sunday with him. I'll be on Saturday with Let's Talk Sports Network. Dan over there has great stuff going. There's a website about to come out here that I'm pretty excited that we'll be included on. So very excited to see that. You too?
Yeah, I'm going on with Dan Saturday night as well. It's
Saturday night. Nice. Yeah, I'll be Saturday morning. So, yeah, just we talk a little Chiefs, Royals, maybe some NBA, NFL. You never know what pops up. So it's always a good time there. Go make sure you guys go check them out. They're doing really good things. Lots of great guests there. So, and then you catch the Sports Buffoons. We'll be here Wednesday night. We're not at a bar this time. We'll be back home. So come check it out, guys. Mike wants to talk a little fantasy football. I'm sure JG and I will be discussing something NBA wise. So whether it's finals, kind of another finals preview a little bit, or maybe more in depth there. So make sure you guys check in there. We'll be 8 p.m. Central on that on YouTube. So anyways, everybody, thanks for joining in and have a great night.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.